Councillor Dixon.
How will the West Yorkshire Mayor regain public trust in the police to ensure that people's confidence when reporting incidents in the future?
Thank you very much for this question. And it's something that has definitely been preying on my mind with the national cases such as the murder of Sarah Everard, the David Carrick cases, and some appalling cases coming out of the Met in London. And obviously the Casey review was shocking in what that uncovered, vile behaviour and attitudes. And that undermines, like you said, the trust in the police, not just in London, unfortunately. We are all tarred with the same brush. And here in West Yorkshire, I hope that the Councillor is well aware of my focus on safety of women and girls, and that he also is aware that West Yorkshire Police is highly rated by HMIC FRS and is significantly different to the Met. The latest England and Wales crime survey shows overall percentage in confidence in local police is currently at 68.6% in West Yorkshire, and across England and Wales it's 68.5%. And whilst it's 0.1% difference, I would like the member to be alerted to that. And there's no national measures for victim satisfaction. And there's been, sadly, a decrease in victim satisfaction over the past few years. This sat at 71.8% compared to 72.6% at the same time last year. But I also want to reassure everyone that my job as Police and Crime Commissioner is to hold the Chief Constable to account, and particularly around these matters. Myself and my Deputy Mayor, Alison Lowe, meet regularly with the Chief Constable. Only yesterday we met online at a community outcomes meeting, which is still available if you'd like to watch back. But I also want to reassure you that we are an exemplar in the country when it comes to violence against women and girls. And in the first week as Mayor, my challenge to the Chief Constable was I need to know every incident of sexual violence, sexual assault, misuse of power from your officers. We have to get our own house in order before we can address problems elsewhere. I've had that data and I know, and I've been reassured, the Chief Constable is zero tolerance when it comes to abuse of power within West Yorkshire Police. But just to build on your point about trust, and I think our focus on making sure West Yorkshire Police represents the people that it serves, particularly around diversity and gender, I think the work we're doing there is making a difference. I am very heartened by our numbers of women officers that have joined over the last 2 years and the rise in Black, Asian, minority ethnic officers. It's very pleasing to see. We're not complacent, but the numbers are definitely going in the right direction.
Do you have a supplementary question?
Thanks, but while I appreciate all that what you said, I think you're kind of missing my point, which my point is why people are not reporting and how we gain trust for people to report. So maybe that's the way I worded the question. But I often get from residents, what's the point reporting nothing happens? What's the point reporting nobody will come and see me, they don't do anything, I've reported for 2 years solid. I'll give you a quote of a resident that I spoke to just a couple of days ago. Wayne, they've won. I've no fight left in me. I've been doing it for years and nothing gets done, so what's the point? I think this is common conversations I have with people, and whilst I accept that the Tories have cut police in and then soon realise that they need to replace them and steadily being recruiting again. Our own Labour Council have also cut police in. So I feel like all the big parties are letting us down, and I feel that's what people are recognising now, is that neither the Tories or Labour will ever have our back. We're going to have constant fear. So my question is, in your manifesto you promised 750 more police and policing staff. When am I going to see the 250 frontline police officers in my ward? And I'm glad you... Some of the 250. I'd like all 250, or at least we'd get crime sorted. But I'm glad you've agreed with Councillor Burke to come to our ward and talk to people, and hopefully you'll give them some honest answers rather than a load of waffle that you give us. Thanks.
I'm quite well aware that in Yorkshire we are straight talking, but that is quite something. With regard to reporting, I think that is the more sensible part of your question. I would encourage citizens to report, because you don't get the resources unless there is clustering, particularly around antisocial behaviour. But if you want an honest answer from somebody that is apolitical, I would encourage you to listen back to the Chief Constable speaking to BBC Leeds Radio, to Rima, the journalist, talking about the devastating cuts of the Conservative government have destroyed neighbourhood policing. They want to do it, they can't do it because the government have cut their budget.
Councillor Dixon.
What will the West Yorkshire Mayor be doing to stop illegal bikes and quads roaming our streets?
Thank you. As I previously mentioned, without the support from the police precept, West Yorkshire Police have faced even more severe pressures, forcing them to cut costs across policing, including neighbourhood policing teams which work in this area. But in order to deal with antisocial behaviour, as myself and the Deputy Mayor have pressed the Chief Constable to work harder, as hard as he can, to tackle antisocial behaviour, we've been able to provide funding in your ward, Councillor Dixon. Middleton Park access change, 37,500, which is target hardening by use of various exit and entry gates. This is managed and operated by Leeds City Parks team. The motorbike outreach project, £10,000 for that, managed and operated by a registered charity, Seacroft on Top. West Yorkshire wide antisocial behaviour campaign, 18,000. Motorcycle antisocial behaviour campaign. This is managed and being delivered by Safer, Stronger Communities team. And this work is scrutinised on a regular basis by the commissioning team at the office, and they ensure the best value for money from these projects. And on top of this work, we have in our office the Violence Reduction Unit, and we are working through that unit on not just deterrence but distractions and diversions for young people. So, for example, in Kirklees last year, we were funding an organisation called Bumpy, which offered off-road bikes to young people that are obviously legal, and it's fun and it's exciting, to give them the thrills that they want, but in a controlled environment. But let's not forget that youth centres have been decimated by, yet again, a Conservative government, which means children and young people have nowhere to go and nothing to do. And we are doing our very best, but hopefully in the very near future we will see a different party in charge who really understands the value of community and also for resources for young people in our communities.
Do you have a supplementary question, Councillor?
That, of course, is beneficial, but it's all aimed at young people. Many of the people driving on quads and bikes in my ward are not young people, they're adults. In fact, two of them approached my wife the other day and followed her home. So this is personal to me. The quad bikes are still not reducing. They're still every day, constant, and people are constantly contacting me. So my question, I suppose, additional to that is, what are we doing to target the criminals who are adults on these bikes? Can we give drones to the off-road bike team, for example? Because I feel that would be more beneficial than trying to block them going anywhere, because all they're doing is moving the problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I say I'm so sorry for your wife? That must have been very frightening. And hopefully she reported that to the police, because that must have been very threatening. I think the problem is the same when it comes to antisocial behaviour. It's criminal activity, it's sometimes drug dealing as well. It's a nuisance, and certainly over the summer months it does spike. But I would reassure you that antisocial behaviour is down by 8%. It doesn't, if it's happening to you, it doesn't feel like that. I do know that. But I would just say, in your role, your job is to make sure that people report it to the police.